Hey all, welcome back. This is Dino the Ops Guy, and this is Production Management in Practice, or Stardew Production Management 101. And this is episode 62 of a course where we're looking at teaching production management from the standpoint of starting in production management. Now, the easiest way to have me get you into production management would be to find an online factory rather than a real factory, because a real factory has safety issues and it has to run and there's all sorts of people around and those types of things. But Stardew Valley actually represents a very good example of an operations environment with a lot of the nuance that I would hope to have. So it is a course in that. And when I did the episode 61, the last episode, I sort of commented that about the number of hours that we've had in Stardew Valley, or in the course, in all the videos combined, works out almost to the point where I would be done a class if I was teaching in university, and I have taught it in university in a lot of different, whether it's production management or operations management or services management or operations strategy. I've taught all those courses. In some cases undergrad, in some cases the MBA level, in some cases even EMBA level, and a lot of cases in actual factories on the corporate level. So I played both sides of that. But I did at that point want to say maybe it's time for a review. Maybe it's time to say, yeah, we've sort of followed where things were going, sort of the stream of consciousness approach to operations, but let's circle back and not to put closure on it. We're going to continue on over and over, like past the 300 hour mark. So the 300-hour mark was how long I usually spend in a course in teaching. So usually it's 10 weeks of 3 hours a week kind of thing. So I decided in episode 61 to ask some questions, and this episode I'm going to respond to them. So let's get to those questions. The first one was Starfruit has one of the best returns both to sell and to put in a keg. We will fill a greenhouse, we can fill a greenhouse with starfruit, and harvest it repetitively because the greenhouse doesn't care if it's summer, even though it's a summer crop, because seasons have no effect there. Give at least one reason why you would want to plant any other plant than starfruit in the greenhouse. So I ask these open-ended questions usually in the courses that I teach, and I find the trend nowadays, in a sort of a bad way, has drifted more towards courses in universities, especially business courses, are driven by textbooks. So as a prof, you'll basically sit down with a textbook distributor and work out what the best textbook for that course is, and then the questions essentially come right out of the textbook. So the involvement of the professor becomes less and less and less. So I'm not in favor of that, because textbooks are great for the comprehension type stuff, the recall type stuff, but are not good for necessarily synthesizing or analysis, or sort of the higher level Bloom taxonomy type learning stuff, the higher cognition type stuff. So this is the type of question I would ask, and I do get a lot of feedback, usually negative, from the students because they didn't get the mark they wanted. Go figure. And sometimes from administration, because the students keep complaining to them that they didn't get the mark they wanted. And they say, why can't you just keep it apples and oranges? like basically it's either true or it's false, because that's not what we need in the factory. If I was in a factory and someone says, can we do this product? The answer is inevitably yes. We don't know how hard it is to do that product, but we will find a way if we need to. The proper response in that situation is, that's great, but here's the limitations to that. We won't have it, if we do that, then we won't have enough hops for our kegs. Or if we do that, now we have to sell all of our animals. If we do that, right? So in university, they sort of ask the question, can we do it? And the answer should be yes. And then factories is, can we do it? Well, hold on. Let me give you the issues here, because that's a discussion we need to have. So this question probably seems a bit deceptive. I don't mean to make it deceptive. When I wrote it, it just came out exactly as it was. But this is not a question. What plant would you plant? No, this is a question. What is the reason? And this gets back to operational principles. Why would you do something in operations to begin with that some would lead you anywhere but a star fruit? And when we look at what are the reasons, right? Maybe we want a higher lift. Well, gee, the lift for star fruit, it's a $400 400G seed, and the gold level, kind of the median there, is 1125. So it's got a 725 lift. That's pretty good among most of the plants we can grow. I agree. However, if I want to go to the traveling cart and spend 1000G on a gemberry, the gold version, the one you can sell, is 4500, which really means you get 3500 out of it. We get more money by planting a gemberry, more money per plot if we do gemberry. They're just a lot harder to get because you can only buy one of them twice a week at the traveling cart. But should you want to get more, go off to the traveling cart and spend more money, and we'll get more in the end. If we want to do lift per day even, well, starfruit is in the ground for 13 days. Sweet gemberries in the ground for 24 days. We still get more per day because the lift per day for gemberries, sweet gemberries, is 145, and the lift per day of starfruit is 55, 56. Now, we cannot put sweet gemberries in a keg. So if your concern is what should we put in a keg, then you have to do either starfruit or something else. And that's just if we're doing lift or lift per day. If we know that time in the day is important and we're using touch as a proxy for time in the day, then we have a different situation. At that point, we're looking for what can we do to improve on starfruit in touch per day, lift per touch. And if we look at ancient fruit, well, ancient fruit are really hard to get because you got to find them. Either mining or in a chest somewhere in the mine, etc., or foraging. But if you do get an ancient fruit seed, you can grow it and it'll create ancient fruit in the season in perpetuity. However, you can take those fruit and create seeds from a seed maker, and then you could, over time, get enough ancient fruits to do as many as you want, essentially. And if you did grow those seeds, and again, you'd find it, but if you had to make a seed, what you'd do is you'd use an ancient fruit in a seed maker. So essentially, it would cost half of what the seed costs, because the return is usually on average of 2 seeds. So in that sense, we can say it's going to be roughly 275, 300 for the seed. The median output is 825. So I have a lift of 500. Really, the lift should be 825 because you only pay for that first seed once, and then you get them in perpetuity. But we'll play the game that it's 500. It's still a better lift per touch than starfruit. So if you're worried about how much time you're spending in the greenhouse, if you're growing starfruit, you have to plant them and harvest them every cycle. If you're doing ancient fruit, you just have to harvest them. They essentially plant themselves over and over and over again. So if your reason for operations is, if your maximizing indicator is going to be lift per touch for any reason, ancient fruit is the seed. Any ancient fruit seeds would be planted in the greenhouse, essentially instead of a spot that would take up a starfruit. If you're looking at speed of investment, if you wanted to grow your money as fast as possible, well, then we look at internal rate of return, or IRR, and essentially that says, let's look at the starfruit. It cost us 400 for the seed. We got 1125 13 days later. What's the internal rate of return per day that gets us from 400 to 1125? Well, that's an 8% return. If we try to do that with sweet gemberry, it's only a 6% return, given that it's more days, and a 4% return for ancient fruit. But if I plant parsnip, I know, cheap parsnip, Because it grows so quickly, it gives us a return of 27%. Essentially, a third of the value is increased every day. So, so if you're trying to grow money quickly, don't plant starfruit. Plant parsnip or wheat or something that grows very, very, very quickly. Not because it's a better plant overall, but because it does what you're trying to do. The question isn't asking you about the plant, it's asking you, what do you want to do? So that's the whole point, right? And then let's say you don't have any money at all. Well, then it's not an issue that you're going to plant starfruit because starfruit costs $400 a seed. But if you have a mixed seed or a mixed flower seed, we can put that in, and that gives us a lift even when we're broke. So if the question is, what is a reason you would plant something other than starfruit? The reasons could be, I want to plant gemberry because it gives me a better lift, because I need as much return as possible, or a lift per touch, or a lift per day, because those metrics are what I'm trying to drive to maximize what I'm doing for my goal, or a speed of investment, or broke. Any of those are good answers, and all of them is a great answer for what we're looking for. And that would lead to, coincidentally, a plant. It's not the plant that I'm looking for, it's the reason that I'm looking for. That's an operations question, not a Stardew Valley plant question. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, I apologize, I didn't make a mistake on this, but rather there was a better presentation. So I did the lift per day basically in the order that I saw there. I should have really turned around that graph to say, and include the days on it. So that is essentially the same question, but you can see the graph on the bottom right has, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it has day 59, day 58, day 57, etc. And that's the order in which it would have happened. But I have to say, when I saw this question, even though I put the question in, I fell, if there's a trap, I fell in it, right? So the first thing I did was run statistics to say, what is the mean? What is the standard deviation? And my intention, I knew it wasn't going to work out all that well. My intention was to say, yeah, you really can't tell. So you look at it, and I put the probability distribution function on the side, right next to it. You can see it looks like a sort of a bell graph on the sort of on its side. And the reason I did that was, let's say we use the mean of 164 dot blah 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 whatever. Is that a good guess? Well, if we just say the answer for the daily is going to be between 150 and 200, then we are only going to get that 20% of the time. That's what that distribution function shows us. It is the highest, yes. 20% is the highest. 20% is not a lot. 20% is 1 in 5. There's a 4 in 5 chance we will either get more or less than that. And we could probably say a 2 in 5 chance we're going to get less than that. That's a pretty good chance of getting less, and we do not want to deal with that. So from the standpoint, the expectation, we could say there's a 60% chance between, and we're using the standard deviations here, but it's really not parametric. If you look at the first couple graphs, first couple points on the graph, there's day 46 and 48 are way beyond what we'd consider normal in any parametrics. And now I say parametric means I can use the normal distribution as sort of the expectation or the standard for my probability distribution function. And I'm saying there's a lot more going on here. Normally we use the normal distribution function if it's natural phenomena. If we're looking at the height of a male at age 30, or if we're looking at the weight of a chicken egg from such and such a farm, whatever. If you look at all the natural processes that come into play to make someone's height or to make the weight of an egg, they all overlap, and they have some sort of centrality to the point where once they all overlap, we can pretty much assume it's a normal distribution. That is not true of every piece of, every set of data that we're going to come across. If I'm counting defects, it's not going to be normal. It's going to be Poisson, because there's more chance of having one defect than there is two defects, and more than having three defects, etc. And we get into, what if we're using a different distribution? What if we're going to transpose it? What if we're going to use nonlinear or non-parametric? All that to say, it gets very confusing very quickly, and I didn't even cover stats yet, so if I'm going to at all. So this is a trap, and if you follow this trap, your best way out, and you do a decent on the on this question if you followed this, to say it's really not predictable, right? It's really, there's enough noise in the situation that we can't statistically come up with a good model or a good estimate for it. Any estimate we come up with is going to be very loose. So that's not the proper approach. If we look, let's go back, and again, it's not a stats question. Let's go back to what we understand about operations. It's a keg. What do we put in kegs? Well, now, pretty much day in, day out, we've been putting hops and pulling out pale ale. Occasionally, we'll put a coffee bean in, maybe once every 3 days or 4 days, and then pull coffee out. We just put in a salmon berry because we know we want wine. But those are exceptions. If we really want to understand essentially what we're expecting, let's assume it's going to be hops in, pale ale out, and if it's coffee in, coffee bean in, coffee out, it's only going to get better as long as we follow the timing correct. So if we look at hops in, pale ale out, it takes 1.5 days. Let's call it 2 days. If we just sort of set in motion, every morning you go and check them, and we kind of do that anyway. And any place that you see pale ale, you put in hops. And at least you will get it every second day, if not noticing it earlier, every day and a half kind of thing. So if we get it every second day, and we know that we're getting a lift of 273 because we get 300 for the pale ale, and we spent, right now we're just using base level hops, we spent 27 for the hops. 273 every 2 days, or 136.5 per G per keg per day. Now we can say, well, we know it's 10 kegs because we can count them. There's 10 kegs. We know it's 7 days. We multiply that out and we get 9,555, almost 10,000 G. And that's predicated on if we just did hops every other day. For, like we would do it every day, but some of them, and then every other day. If we put in coffee, it goes faster. If we put in salmonberry, we're going to lose a couple hundred G. That's not going to make a big difference. So essentially, the answer would be we're expecting 9,500, 10,000, 10,000 G per week from our 10 kegs. And here's the logic behind it. We're just looking at hops, and any exception is going to either go in our favor or be minimal. So that would be it. How I would mark these, and I'm not marking these. Don't send anything to me that way. What I would be using a rubric like this, and essentially on a 10-point scale, you'd get a 10 for the question 1 about the greenhouse. If the answer demonstrates a connection between decision-making on crop selection with a broader context of the myriad goals, you would want to demonstrate that there are other goals other than just maximize how much we get out or maximize how much we're getting out from the keg once we put the star fruit in the keg, because those are the two that were mentioned. And the point is, demonstrate that this is an operations question and not just do you know your plants question. You'd get an 8 out of 10 if the answer demonstrates the recognition that there are other concerns that exist than just maximize star fruit or keg revenue, but not really mention a plant, right? So you're saying, oh yeah, there's a lot of things, a lot of reasons why we would want other stuff. There you go. Well, that really doesn't hit the point we were asking, right? Demonstrate it with a plant. Even if you have to sort of make up a plant and say, let's say XYZ plant has this kind of feature and this kind of feature. It doesn't look as good as starfruit, but on this case is better. Good for you. 7 or 6, I kind of pull these together. Sometimes I'll split them out. Answer identifies at least one crop that could suitably grow in the greenhouse, and an advantage it would have over starfruit. So we could say parsnip makes money faster. We could say rare seeds will grow sweet gemberry for a better lift and a better lift per day. Any of those would be sufficient for that 6 or 7. 5, answer represents an advantage another crop could have over starfruit without suggesting a suitable example. Oh, so that essentially we're saying, yeah, there's, if we grew parsnips, it would be faster. But we're not going to show you the math. We're not going to walk you through anything. It's just, it would be faster. That's what I want to put in there. Parsnip. And then 0 for no answer, or the answer is irrelevant. And yeah, and somewhere in the 6, 7 range, you'd have a tree would be good. And then again, not really getting to why the tree, or, that sort of thing. And a tree is just good because it's extra space that you can't plant, can't possibly plant a starfruit there unless you put, what do you call it, the pots, and then you have to water them separately. So that gets into a whole bunch of other things. For the second question, answer responds to the messiness of the data, and gives us demonstrably reliable estimates. Sorry, I couldn't see the bigger screen. So, and that's really what, can you show that we can't just do straight statistics, but in fact there is a better way using some structure? And I use the structure of, we're just going to assume that we're only going to do hops. And that works, right? So an 8 out of 10 demonstrates a valid approach, but is basically calculated poorly, or executed poorly. So there really isn't a good sort of sound logic before it. You kind of hit the point, but didn't explain it as well as you could, right? The answer identifies, for 7 and 6, the answer identifies concerns of extending statistical data without offering any estimate at all. So that would be what I did on the first set of slides, to say, it doesn't really work any good way. We think it's going to be between 150 and 2, but even then it could go crazy, kind of thing. Yeah, good answer. That gives you a 6 or a 7. Doesn't give you a 10. And then 5, answer effectively presents an estimate without demonstrating that it could happen. So we're just going to say 164 or 164.5 and say, see, I pulled it out of my hat. That's the magic number. Yeah, no, that's not good in operations. We gotta know why. And then a 0 if there's no answer, if it just completely misses the context. So you can decide how you would have done. I'm not going to mark you. If you want to get a better mark, just scratch out what you have and put something new in there that sort of more or less matches this. The point isn't that I give you a grade. In a lot of cases, when I try and run certainly corporate stuff, I don't give a grade. It becomes more of your portfolio to say, here's the project that I did, and Dino helped me with it, and this is what we accomplished in that project, and it was a good project, kind of thing. So, but it really gets down to, when you see a question like this, whether it's on a test or whether it's in the factory, think of the context in which it's being asked. So from the standpoint, if they say, we're looking at this new product, can we do it? The yes answer is gonna always be there, but don't start with that. Start with something like, here are the limitations that we have if we're going to go down that route, because that's the better conversation to get into. So hopefully that works. Let's get into Av's part. For Av's part today, it's not a Friday or a Sunday, so we don't have to check the cart. I'd love Av to get to the desert to do some more foraging or mining. But I'm going to leave it up to Av, because as long as the crops get watered and the stuff gets harvested, as long as the animals get pet, and the animal products. Strategically, we're covered for now, and I'm going to leave it up to Av to decide what's the best thing. He's really good at deciding those kind of things, so it's probably appropriate that I do that. So we're going to turn it over to you, Av. Thanks, Dino. Okay, weather report. Tomorrow's going to be cloudy and a little bit windy, and today spirits feel absolutely neutral. It's so rare. I don't think it's that rare, actually. Okay, Mr. Key gave us a whatever, gave us a challenge. Anyway, he gave us a challenge. We're going to change over the jars. He wants us to get to level 100 in the desert mine, the caverns, skull caverns. So it's something to consider. We'll need a better sword than we have, though. Man, we're just gonna get pummeled if we try that. And there's some tricks we can do by basically making stairs that we can plop on the ground. And in fact, if we get more jade, we can trade those on Sundays for stairs. So that might be a good investment as well. Oh, we forgot Meow. Well, we didn't forget Meow. We just haven't gotten to Meow. But when I looked at that graph, I realized that the only animal that hadn't been pet was our cat Meow. So I like this, our little cell thing. Pull the apple out, drop it in. Kind of very simple, no nonsense. Oh, there's Meow sort of lounging. So I'm really happy with that cell. We're going to try and set up as many cells like that as we can, just to make things that much easier to process. We have our 4 hops for our pale ale. And we have the eggplant. I was considering maybe keeping the eggplant for food, but I'm looking, the ratio of energy to G is less than 1. So I think it's just, we're better off selling it, even if it means using our extra tree seeds and making the field snacks. That's probably a better way to go than the eggplant. Not that we're out of food yet, so we still have some summer squash, which have a good ratio, and we might have 1 salmonberry left, but every once in a while we'll get salmonberry in the cave, so that's a good thing. And we have our extended little row there with the amaranth. That's going to work out well, I think. Just trading off our mayonnaise for our eggs. We're going to get our potted stuff, but we need more bait. Just regular bait is fine. At some point, we should probably make a bait machine. That becomes just a little more fluid. That becomes its own cell, kind of just with that bait machine. So that's something we will probably look at in the nearish future. We're going to try and take stuff to town and sell it, not because we absolutely need the money, but why not? So as well, we're going to try and get to Clint and clear off some of our geotype stuff. So that'll be good. Before we do that, I was saying, because we finished moving that boulder there, whatever the case, we now have a copper pan, or I think it's copper. We have a pan. And if we see any sort of shimmery in the water, then we know to use the pan. And it will give us sometimes some ores, sometimes some bones, sometimes some crazy other stuff. But it's still nice. It's better than a kick in the teeth for sure. Okay, we are, hey, the mayor, how's it going? So we're just going to drop some of the stuff. Escargot, that's good, especially for fishing. 10 coal, 3 copper, 1 coal, 1 clay. Okay, I'm not impressed here. We got a barite, that's worth 50. Okay, we didn't get any of what we were hoping for here, but let's just consider it having been done, and then we don't have to deal with it anymore. So that's kind of good in that situation. We'll head down to do some foraging at the ocean on the beach. We're going to say hi to Elliot, pick up a clam, pick up a coral, and then I don't know if you saw that. There was a coral playing hide and seek. Did you see that? There it is. Anyway, so we got some coral, we got some clam. Talk to Willie, cash it out, and make our way back into the city to Pierre's. And I guess it's Willie's day off. I keep forgetting Saturdays. Sometimes he doesn't show up. Actually, probably most Saturdays he doesn't show up. Maybe it's a fantasy that I have that he'll ever show up on a Saturday. But that's okay. We're not really dire for the money. Harvey wants a bok choy. We didn't plant any. That's just, we're going to let that one go. So, all right. go in. We're gonna say hi to Caroline. She's so nice. And Abigail. We really should say hi to Pierre, but I keep forgetting to go right behind the counter. This interaction is great, but I'm sure he wants someone to say hi at some point. We'll have to consider that. Okay, back to the farm, and mostly just sort stuff out. I think the big thing, though, on the farm is we were talking earlier about setting up the mushroom area part 2, and we should probably look over there or get some trees. So eventually we're going to need stone and trees for stone and wood for the deluxe coop. So any wood that we can invest in is a good thing. We also need, you'll see that I put some iron in. That's for the bee houses, and for the kegs we need iron, so that's a good thing to have. See, those trees are fully mature. That's awesome. So let's you know what, rather than go back and get some of the seeds, let's chew up some of these. Like I said, we need wood. We'll chew up some of these pines and hopefully get pine cones. There's some pine cones. That's going to be good. I don't have to sweep them right away because I can do it all the trees and then sort of circle back walk. We got some stones. That's good. We got 5 pine cones. That's just the right number I was looking for. So we'll need more later. But for now, I like that we have 5. That's going to fit between these. Those are not going to go to full maturity. We got to get rid of this seed and probably, let's see if we can. We got to get rid of these just so we can plant that seed. So yeah, the idea being the immature trees will still contribute to the mushrooms. So even if they don't go full, but the placing of them is important. So a mushroom cares about the 3 north, 3 south, 3 east, and 3 west, kind of 7 by 7 around it. And we've decided to pack those trees on that side so that we can still see the mushrooms from this side. So that's kind of by design that's going to work. Okay, we got another acorn. We don't really need an acorn, but we do need pine cone. Well, first of all, we need a mushroom log, and then we need pine cones to plant. So let's get those mushroom logs in that sort of that cone spacing or the comba spacing. Get rid of this tree because this is just in the way. And it's going to mess up. The mushrooms are going to think it's a mother, and it'll go sort of the wrong direction. So let's plant some pine cones within. And that's going to be trees as well, so we can maximize the number of mushrooms that we get every growth kind of thing. So we with that special we got pine cone and maple seed in the same pole. That's kind of funny. Okay, so there's still some trees down here. We'll get that stone, but we're going to get a lot of these trees out of the way. Again, it's nice to clear up the visibility. There's the salmonberry we were talking about. Nice to clear up the visibility, and it's nice to have the wood. So the more we can clear up down here, the easier it is for us to just extend the line straight down and have some clarity about what's going on around them, what we can see, what we can't see, that sort of thing. So there's a stone in the corner. Might as well get that one. And we'll make our way back. When I say back to this the path, and then we're going to go down and over to get some more hardwood. We've spent some hardwood on the we got the wrong tool on the mushroom logs, so we're going to replace some of that. But we're also looking to see if any shimmery stuff comes up, just to demonstrate, a new toy kind of thing with our new pan. Because if we can find shimmery stuff, ooh, that's going to be cool. At least the first time. After that, it's probably not as cool. But let's take the novelty coolness any way we can get it, right? So we got we got a lot of frost jellies here and other slime beasties that seems to want to taste the edge of our sword. We will get the hardwood and make our way out. I was hoping to also get some more plantable mahogany seeds, but not this time. So I know we left the 2 on the bottom, just a matter of time. I want to get back to the farm if we can. Probably more opportunities there. So we'll get back and then again sort through what we got. This sorting thing, we got to Got to figure out a better way to do this. So you see that apple jelly, and again, the rule is don't touch it till morning, because that just means one more move towards there that we don't need. When it comes to morning, there'll be an apple on the tree, and there'll be that will be the next spot for that apple, and it's just going to make that so much more fluid and minimize the number of times we go over there for superfluous things. Or waste in the terms of lean. So we have a mossy seed. We might as well plant that one as well. I do want to make some tree fertilizer. It does use up a lot of our stones, unfortunately, but that's okay, because it helps us getting hardwood, which helps for a lot of things. We haven't really had a lot of need for hardwood just yet. I mean, we used it for the mushroom log more than once, but we're going to get into some other uses. So again, keeping ahead of hardwood is one of the sort of the hidden wins or the hidden dangers if you don't win, kind of thing. So plant the mossy seed. Hopefully that one looks like it's going to come up as a fiddlehead fern tree, but they kind of vary with what they come up as. So we're going to use this morel to load the jars. We're out of chanterelles, so the morels do better on a lift basis than the cauliflower. I don't think they do better on a end value, but the lift is better with the morel than the cauliflower. So the idea being we're better off selling a cauliflower if we have to, and jarring the morel than jarring the cauliflower and selling the morel. So for the keg, we still need copper. I didn't anticipate that, but we did make our bee house, and we'll go back and get our copper. Having trouble loading the hops into the kegs. So we'll get our copper, go back. We already have our no, we didn't do that right at all. We already have our oak resin there, and we can load up with some hops, running close to the time where we should be in bed. So let's load the hops in and make a bit of a quick dash and hop into bed with Meow. So decent return. We did get some money as well at Pierre's, and 50 from it's gonna rain tomorrow from Clint, and the spirits feel neutral. So back to you, Dino. Okay, thanks, Av. Yeah, I think getting the second mushroom area and getting wood and hardwood is probably a better use of time than going to the Calico Desert, especially since our weapon is a bit tame. So certainly water and harvest the crops, pet the animals, all good. Use the time basically for the mushroom farm. So that's all good. Hopefully, we're not gonna. I mean, as far as a recap, we did what we needed to do. We're gonna get back into it. Hopefully, at some point, we'll get a prismatic shard so we can turn into a galaxy sword, or at least in the interim, get 25,000 so that we can get a lava katana, so we actually have a weapon to work with. But until then, we're just gonna sort of pop along. Hopefully, this has been somewhat instructive, somewhat educational, or at least entertaining. If we can make it more entertaining or more instructional, then please let us know in the comments. That notwithstanding, hoping you'll be back in the next episode. This is Dino the Ops Guy signing off.